Good Thursday morning, everyone. Thursday evening, excuse me. Weather Impact Live, 8 o'clock. And we are watching tropical storm now, Melissa, but forecast to become a major hurricane over the next 3 to 4 days. So let's just jump right in there. Right now, the actual winds have come down. 45-mile-per-hour winds. That was 50 the last couple of days, but it's been extremely unorganized. There's been some westerly shear on it, and it's made it really hard for the convection to get over top of the lower level circulation down here, right? The convection's kind of blown off to the side. It looks like it's trying to get a little bit better organized, and the forecast models do call for that shear, at least a little bit of it, to come off a little bit. And so as a result, it should get a little bit stronger. You can see the movement now is to the north at 2 miles per hour. These are the 8 o'clock numbers. We just got these in. Pressure has dropped from the 5 o'clock numbers, which usually shows a little bit of strengthening. It's only dropped a millibar, went from 101 to 1001 to 1000. But it is on the way, it looks like now, to the north and then eventually the northwest towards Jamaica. So in the meantime, if you can see there, we have a ton of rain that's already pushing off towards Dominican Republic and Hispaniola, all right, Haiti. Okay, so you can see basically everything off towards the east and northeast of the center. So all of this in here is producing quite a bit of heavy rainfall. There's been good flooding. This is the northeast coast of Dominican Republic. That's where a lot of the places that folks go to vacation are, right? This area here, well, Port-au-Prince is here in Haiti. I think the western end of that peninsula is really going to get a lot of rain. And then Jamaica. Jamaica looks fantastic right now. We were looking at some webcams earlier today. It was gorgeous. However, it looks like that is going to change. Here's the recon that went out there, and this gives you a better idea of seeing where that center is compared to all the convection, right? The center is right in there. By the way, see the figure fours that they do? It's like a 4 right there. They just keep doing those as they go around, and that's where they crisscross into the center. But look at all this convection here. There's a spot down here, and nothing out here. Right? Nothing on the west side of the center, and that's because of that westerly shear that's pushing off from the west to the east. But again, this is basically going to come down, we think, a little bit, and as a result, that should let it get a little bit stronger. Now, here is the 5 p.m. track update from the Hurricane Center, and you can see that right now we're looking at what, 45-mile-per-hour winds. By tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock, they have it at 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's right here. Okay, Saturday goes up to 90 mile per hour. Now 74 and above is hurricane. So Friday night it likely is going to be a hurricane. Saturday it goes Cat 1 at 90, which is basically the top end. By Sunday, so Saturday night into Sunday, this thing goes from Cat 1 to Cat 3 to 4, 130 mile per hour winds by Sunday afternoon. Monday, 145. And Tuesday it keeps about 145. But this is Jamaica. All right, that is Jamaica. So it's basically very slowly moving and off into this direction. Now, initially, a lot of the rain is going to be out over here when it gets east of the center, right? But if this strengthening is occurring, especially 1, 2, 3, 4, then you're starting to get rain wrapped all the way around, wind all the way around. And so now you've got, the highest winds, if this were to happen, would stay just offshore. But you still got a ton of wind over Jamaica, and you've got a ton of rainfall. By the way, it's Thursday. This thing is near the west coast of Jamaica by Tuesday. That is a long time. So 5 days just meandering around there. Now, watches and warnings. We have hurricane watches and tropical storm warnings in these areas, all right? All of Jamaica and, of course, that western tip of Haiti. Now, here are the forecast models, and this is a really tough forecast. It's getting a little bit better because less modeling is saying it comes out and goes across Haiti or Dominican Republic. That was an option. We don't think that is now. But you can see it coming out very close to Jamaica or maybe even coming further to the west and then coming off towards the west-southwest. And then eventually it recurves. The best bet now is going to be somewhere in here in central or eastern Cuba, Turks and Caicos, southern Bahamas. All right, so how far to the west does it get of Jamaica? The Hurricane Center doesn't say much. It's got it right on, in fact, the Jamaican coast by Tuesday. But it's going to be very close. The bottom line is it's just going to be meandering around here as we go through the upcoming weekend. Here are the forecast models. Here's a look at the two different models, at least the GFS and the Euro. And the GFS in the yellow here, it's been to the right the whole time. It's the one that's trying to go out across Dominican Republic. It now, instead of doing this, it does something like this. All right, so it's sensing this curve in here, right? And right now, most of the modeling is doing something like this. All right, so at least now the GFS is starting to see this right in here. See that right in there? It's still way out to sea, though. It's not, I don't think it's got what's going to happen here. Notice the European model here. This is Monday, 8 p.m. There's Jamaica. There's the center. Very close to what the Hurricane Center has in their official forecast. And then by Wednesday morning, still hasn't made landfall into Cuba. By the way, that's Guantanamo Bay on East Cuba. It looks like they at least get a hurricane, right? But they will get a lot of rain out of this as well. But you see, it does look like it's going to cross somewhere over there and then head out to sea. All right, there are a couple model runs that take it up. One or two of the model lines just take it up towards the northeast. Don't worry about that. There's a big old front coming through that's going to pick this thing up, and that's what's pushing it out. So let's talk about those two models, the Euro and the GFS, and let's look at the ensembles of those two. So this is each model run multiple times just to get an idea what the thinking is. And we're starting to get more of these GFS. See the yellow here? That's more of the American model, the GFS. More of those starting to sense something coming over here. And then you can't see it, but eventually turning and coming out. But we still have some that are doing this. Most of the European, the white is going this way and coming out. In fact, if I extend it out in the time, you can see that. Okay, so it's getting a little bit better organized there. Not a whole lot as far as agreement, but it's getting there. All right, now, what's steering this? Well, first of all, this is going to go out in the time. Let's back up. We've got this nice high pressure sitting here over top of us. This is what's giving us this really nice weather in the Florida Peninsula. That is pushing, this is the high. Let me back it up here. The high is sitting at this point, this is by Sunday, up here over the northeast. So it's like this. So the storm can't come up at that, all right? It was trying to get up and go out with that. That's what the GFS was thinking, all right? So it's got to wait for that to get out of the way. So here comes another low, and this is the opportunity. This is what could pull it up before the next high that's sitting up in here comes down. Okay, so let's watch what happens. This is Monday, by the way. And remember, in the official forecast, the model's right here, the Hurricane Center's right here. They're very close to the European. But it's still down there. It's not pulled on yet. Okay, now watch as we go. See that? That was the difference. Tuesday into Tuesday night, finally, this thing starts to feel the pull of this. And what happens is you've got a big area of high pressure sitting right here, right? You've got your low, a new one that forms here, and a trough that's sitting here, it's actually up in here, which actually can finally pull that up and get it out to the north and the east. So that's the steering mechanism. If you're watching from the United States, especially the southeast and Florida, these fronts are what are protecting us. Okay, and that is what's going to come through here, it looks like now. Well, we've got one right now that just came through, right? But we also got another really good one that's coming through in about 5 to 6 days. This is Wednesday night. That one, by the way, will bring some of the coolest air that we've seen across most of the southeastern United States so far this season, and that includes Florida. But this is Thursday evening. There's the system. It's on its way out. Beautiful dry weather coming in. In fact, that will get all the way down to Cuba. They will get lower dew points. They will get cooler air all the way down into the Bahamas, the southern Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos. Look, this is suggesting that some of that gets down into here. Now, this is overall moisture. This is not necessarily just dew points, but some of that drier air will get into parts of Cuba because you have a hurricane helping to pull down that drier air on its west side. All right, now let's talk about wind shear, because you can see we've got a ton of it across the Gulf and across Florida, and that's great news to help protect Florida. That does not really go anywhere, but look at this little hole right in here. See all that? That's the wind shear that's on it now. But watch as we go through Friday into Saturday. See that? See the little hole that opens up right there? It's a little less wind shear. That's the model seeing that opportunity for that thing to get stronger. Okay, it's not a lot. I'm not even 100% sold that it will, because that looks a little odd, but it could happen. And then eventually, as it pulls away, it will be dealing with more shear. This goes all the way out through next Wednesday. You see the big trough dipping down. This is protecting Tampa. This is protecting Florida and the Gulf. I am not worried about the system coming into the Gulf. That's the good news there. All right, let's talk real fast about the winds. You can see this is from the Hurricane Center forecast. The yellow, by the time we get to Saturday, that western tip of Haiti, seeing tropical storm force winds. Saturday night, that gets into Jamaica. And then Sunday, those winds really pick up. Take a look at the European forecast model, because I've been showing you this. Look at the winds. Now, you see Cat 4 right off the coast of Jamaica, right? Well, watch this. This is Saturday at 6 p.m. See that? The highest winds, those Cat 4 numbers will be right around the center. If the center doesn't go onshore, they're not going to be there. But they're going to have Cat 1, right? Maybe Cat 2. That's Sunday evening. Look at that thing strengthen. That's Monday evening. Look at the winds right there. But they're still just offshore. Now Tuesday, different story. See that? It finally turns and comes up and makes landfall. It could be a Cat 4 at landfall. Then it moves up by Wednesday into eastern Cuba, Guantanamo Bay area, and then the Turks and Caicos, and it moves out. One more thing here before we take a break. I want to show you the rainfall. That could be anywhere from 25 to 30 plus inches of rain for Jamaica. I think Jamaica will get the most out of this. This is just the European model. If this were to happen, that would be 25 to 30 inches of rainfall for some of the spots. I think generally, you look at the pink and the white there, that's anywhere from 15 to 25. So on the order of 1 to 2 feet of rainfall in about 3 to 4 days. All right, guys, we'll take a break. We'll come right back.
Before hurricane season hits,